What I remember the most towards the end of my labor was just like that loving, comforting support that I had from my husband, where he was encouraging me, telling me I could do it, that he was so proud of me, that we were going to meet our baby soon, and that we wanted this so much. Just massaging me, hugging me, kissing me, doing that light touch massage, just making me feel so like loved and comfortable. And it was just like a really special feeling. It just felt like such a deep connection, and like we felt so strong as a team, and like that we were really in it together. The desire to have, this beautiful birth experience is great. That is the first step to getting there, and that's the fun part. But along with it, you really want to make sure that you're doing your daily practice, your homework, working on that tool set, rehearsing, so that when the day comes, you're so calm, you're so ready, you believe in yourself, you trust in yourself. So, that's really the biggest part of it is doing your homework, working on it with your partner, choosing the right people to be involved with you and support you in the process. So my birth story started off with me a little bit worried because the doctors wanted to induce me, which I knew I could push, but there was still kind of that pressure of, all right, I need to get this baby out soon or else I'm gonna have to be induced. And that was because I had gestational diabetes, and they have fear of the baby being too large. So I felt comfortable pushing it. I did actually push back, to like a week past my due date. And I felt confident to do that through taking the hypnobirthing classes. And so it was about 2 days before I was gonna be induced. I went to get acupuncture that day, and then not too soon after, my mucus plug came out. So that was good, but even when the mucus plug comes out, it could still be a few days. It doesn't mean that you're gonna go into labor. So, but I called my sister because she's a couple hours away. She is part of my birth team, and she said, okay, I'm gonna come out tonight, and we'll just see if we can speed things along. If not, that meant that maybe she wasn't gonna be there for the birth. So I was feeling a little bit nervous about that, but still, doing all my breathing and everything, and just trying to visualize positively how things were gonna come out. Well, my sister and my husband decided, all right, let's go for a walk, let's do some acupressure points. And literally right as they were doing the acupressure points, I said, oh, I just felt a pop. Did you guys hear that? They're like, no, we didn't hear anything. I'm like, I swear I felt a pop. But nothing really came out until 15 minutes later, water started gushing. So they did induce through acupressure the breaking of the waters, which meant that because I have GBS, that I had to get to the hospital within 2 hours because they want to give you antibiotics. So we got to the hospital, Kaiser San Diego, and by the time we got there, my contractions were very strong. It actually, from the time it took us to get from the car parking up to the labor and delivery floor, took about 20 minutes because I kept stopping and breathing. So we were all laughing about that. It was pretty funny. And by that point, I already was starting to feel like in a bit of an altered state. In a good way. You just feel really excited, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is starting to happen. And right away from the beginning, I just was trying to breathe, slow down, breathe through the contractions, and recite to myself the affirmations that I was doing the whole time. So one of the things that really stuck out to me that I also thought was funny was to stay loose and limp like a noodle. So I just remembered that. My husband would remind me, remember, stay loose and limp, just one breath at a time, one contraction at a time. And when we got up there, all the rooms were booked. So I was in triage, So we just tried to make ourselves comfortable, listen to some Bob Marley, watch a little bit of TV, even just walked around, tried not to think about like how long am I gonna be here. And then about 4 hours later we did get a room, which felt so nice because then I felt like, okay, we can settle in, set up the aromatherapy, had my bouncy ball, my labor ball, which actually I did bring the labor ball into the triage. I'm glad that was one of the essential things, because they tell you, well, don't bring everything from your car right away. And one thing that we did say was, okay, let's bring the labor ball. And it's so comfortable. Laying down for me was didn't really feel good. So being able to sit on the ball and bounce was really nice and just keep moving. And then by the time we got to the room, the contractions were definitely getting stronger, but we dimmed the lights, had a really good playlist going, and there were definitely times that the contractions would feel very strong, but distraction seemed to be the best tool. So one of the things that my husband and my sister were doing for me was doing like massage and pressure points, which you do learn, and you'll learn different techniques in the hypnobirthing, and that helped a lot because you're just focusing your attention on a different part of your body. So that was really great. Definitely being reminded of that, like the baby is coming and the baby's ready. Every contraction, just thinking about how how the contractions are good, even though they help. Like if you have a strong contraction, that's actually really good because that means your body's doing what it's supposed to do. It's pushing the baby down. So instead of thinking like, oh my gosh, like something's wrong, like it's not supposed to feel like this, it actually is supposed to feel like that, and it means like your baby's coming. And we used all different types of essential oils, which I love. What was that? What was the one called? Clary sage. Yeah, the clary sage was really great. And every time the nurses came in, they said, oh my gosh, it smells so good in here. I love the vibe in here. You have your music, it's so relaxing. So it felt really good in the room. My sister it was just so amazing to have her there because she was serving as my doula. And it helped so much because she was just there to keep me on track, keep me focused, speak to me in just like a really calm, soothing voice. Like just her voice and her confidence was so reassuring. And it's like the power is within you, but you need to have people there that are reminding you of what you're capable of. So it really does help having, make sure you pick people, like it's not necessarily your mom or it's not necessarily a family member. Maybe it's a best friend that knows you really well and like knows what to say to you and how to support you. My aunt is a doula. She wasn't able to be there, but she was helping through text message. So I definitely would recommend having a doula if you can get one. Like my birth team worked out and having my sister there, my husband, and then a remote doula. Because you end up in these situations where, the nurses might say like, they might make a suggestion, like they kept wanting to do cervical checks and the cervical checks were uncomfortable for me. So my instinct told me like, no, I don't want to do another one. So I checked I asked my aunt, like over the phone, do I really have to do another cervical check? And she said no. So it's nice to have that person that like really knows what's going on to reaffirm for you that that's going to affect your birth experience. And if you're feeling really strongly you don't want to do something, but you don't have the confidence to say like yes or no to the nurses, then you start to lose your voice. So really have that team of people who can back you up and like support your instinct as a mother, because this is a very intuitive thing. It's very instinctual, and that's what it's all about, is really trusting yourself and knowing what you're capable of. It's very primal, which that was kind of the fun part. Like you really just let yourself go. I really allowed myself to just release and be free, and I was dancing and swaying my head and making all sorts of sounds, and it actually started to feel good. Like I'd say once I got really, it's a spiritual journey. I was in labor for 17 hours at the hospital. And I would say that halfway through is where I started really feeling the dopamine and just like all those hormones that are being released. The hardest thing for me was not like the pain, because if you're doing the breathing and you're doing the distraction and counting down and all that, the pain goes away. Once the contraction's gone, the pain goes away. For me, what was hard was the exhaustion. Like if someone was like, what was the hardest part? I wouldn't be like, oh, it hurts so bad. It's not, I was so tired. So, you know, have your coconut water and like, or your honey, little things to give you that energy boost, rest up, but like, don't be so afraid of the pain, because if your mind is really able to transmute pain into something else. And for me, at one point, it turned into pleasure. I saw the videos of, you know, ecstatic or orgasmic birth, and I was like, okay, like, where are they finding these people? And it really just happened spontaneously. Like, I think I was maybe like 7 centimeters dilated. So I was getting closer, but then again, the contractions are getting stronger, and I just started laughing. I was laughing hysterically, and this must have been for like 5 minutes. And the nurses were like, couldn't believe it, because they were looking at my contractions on like the screen and then looking at me laughing. Yeah, so my husband and I were holding hands. We were each on a labor ball, and we were rolling in circles together and just gazing into each other's eyes and just laughing. And it was just this really deep moment of connection and just being really elevated together and feeling so strong together, and just laughing at, like, I don't know what I was laughing at. It just felt really good. And after that, like, I'd say I stayed pretty good. I believe I had 7 or 8 hours more to go from that point, but we just kept blocking it off in chunks. And within those chunks, there was just moments of feeling so blissful, so loved. There was lots of kissing and cuddling. And I know that's something that helped me out a lot, just having that like love and nurturing. What I remember the most towards the end of my labor was just like that loving, comforting support that I had from my husband, where he was encouraging me, telling me I could do it, that he was so proud of me, that we were going to be our baby soon, and that we wanted this so much. Just massaging me, hugging me, kissing me, doing that light touch massage, just making me feel so like loved and comfortable. And it was just like a really special feeling. It just felt like such a deep connection, and like we felt so strong as a team, and like that we were really in it together. And I actually got relaxed to the point that I fell asleep to the rainbow relaxation, which always put me to sleep when I practiced every day and took my little afternoon nap to the rainbow relaxation. So that was great. Like, it gave me that little energy boost that I needed for the final stage, where I just let my body take the lead. I trusted that my body knew what to do, and it did. The pushing reflex happened when it was that time, and I just was feeling that really strong urge. And it is the easiest part, as they say, because this little guy came out and was like 5 or 6 pushes, and it was amazing. Like, he was out, and then he was in my arms, on my chest, and nursing. And yeah, we hugged for a little bit, and then it seemed like 5 minutes later he was just nursing and with his eyes open, and he was there in my arms. It was amazing. Yeah, very, very positive birth experience, and something special that I will carry with me for the rest of my life.